Hello, and welcome to the New Year's webinar, the New Year's Communication Strategy. Today we will present the New Year's Communication Strategy, explaining briefly the year's vision and the main objectives of the 2021 to 2024 strategy. In the second part of the webinar, you will learn more about the implementation of the National Communication Strategy, thanks to the example of three experts. Bellon Serrano from Spain, Bernadette Greco from Italy, and Marjorie Chorro from France. Let's start with the New Year's Communication Strategy. The year's communication strategy is intended to serve as a strategic document for all year's communication activities for the period 2021 to 2024 at pan-European, national, regional and local level. The main objective of this strategy is to guide participating countries in the development of their national communication plans and the production of communication activities within their annual activity plans. EURES envisions a European Union where it is easier for citizens to move freely from one country to another, when they change jobs or are seeking employment, in full compliance with European and national legislation granting labor and citizenship rights. EURES' mission is to offer high-quality mobility support to job seekers and employers throughout Europe, thereby ensuring fair and effective mobility. The strategy outlines the objectives, tools, involved stakeholders and multipliers, target audiences, messages, channels, and evaluation methods to support the implementation of the strategy at European and national levels. There are two general communication objectives. The first one is to improve and increase awareness and brand perception of EURES. The second one is to encourage and facilitate more active collaboration between EURES members and partners, ECHO, NCOs, the EC, and stakeholders outside the network. Four guiding principles have been stated to successfully implement the two general communication objectives identified in this strategy. They should form the foundation of the various communication activities that will be undertaken to ensure that the EURES brand is firmly in the public domain, reaching its intended target audiences. The guiding principles are: 1. Increased and improved targeting of all communications activities focusing on particular target audiences demanded at national level. 2. Prioritizing human success stories within the network and the public, through articles on the portal and extranet, as well as assessing the effectiveness of EOJDs, training sessions, events, tools, and strategies, with the aim of creating a real connection and establishing common meaningful communications with the target audiences. 3. Developing a broader network, mapping and involving a wider range of actors at European level and on the ground to expand the base of EURES members and partners, as well as multipliers, to extend EURES' reach in the participating countries while achieving improved outcomes for job seekers and employers. 4. Coordinated transnational cooperation action to increase the EURES brand reputation and notoriety, and reinforce perception of EURES' intrinsic characteristics as a pan-European network and a service brand with the common aim of supporting the free movement of labor in Europe. Following these principles and the two general objectives, three specific communication objectives have been individuated. Increase access to information and awareness about EURES services, providing advice on fair labor mobility opportunities across the EU, thus to generate high demand for EURES services among job seekers and employers. Build new and nurture existing relationships at local, regional, national, and cross-border level, and communicate them. This will facilitate internal and external high-quality interactions when communicating EURES services to encourage cooperation and enlarge the network, enabling the delivery of a broader range of services with a greater impact. Encourage and facilitate more active collaboration between participating countries and the EURES network, adhering to common standards and work on the basis of mutual trust, in order to strengthen the transparency and accessibility of job vacancies and job applications across the participating countries, enabling job seekers, employers and EURES staff equal access to comprehensive labor market information. This was a brief introduction to the EURES Communication Strategy 2021 to 2024. If you want to know more, we suggest consulting the EURES Communication Strategy 2021 to 2024 document, available on the extranet, and signing up for the EURES training courses Communication Tools and Communication Tools Advanced. The training calendar will soon be available, so stay tuned for the next call for applicants. Now it's time to hear more about the national communication strategies directly from our colleagues' experience.
Good morning. I am Daniel Bellon. I am EURES advisor in Canary Islands, Spain, and I am also a part of the team we have in EURES Spain dedicated to communication and social media. Welcome to my office. I have been invited by the organization of the training to share with you a moment and to talk our experience about all these fields, communication and social media from the EURES Spain point of view. So let's try to share my presentation with you. It's coming. Okay. So I hope you are now watching my presentation. My presentation will be focused with these topics that was suggested or ordered by the training organization, and I will try to keep going this track as much as possible. We will talk about our communication plan and about our social media tools and how to manage some different issues related with communication. Well, first of all, it's important, I think, for you to know a couple of things about the Spanish strategy for communication beforehand. First of all, we are a team. We are a team of 9 EURES advisors. We live the EURES world, the EURES life intensively, and we think that nobody is better than us in order to share, transmit our work, the way we do the things into EURES. The other point is that EURES Spain has a long story working in communication. Our first national communication strategy was dated in 2014 and was developed thanks to the support of the European Commission. They sent us to very good specialists, professionals, and they teach us a lot of things, and we learned a lot and enjoyed a lot with the experience. Well, coming back to the team, we are, as I said before, 9 EURES advisors and 1 person at the coordination office. All of us work on it part-time because all of us are EURES advisors. So we do the work EURES advisors do, and communication is only one thing more to add apart more of the job. We meet online and on site and try always to plan our next moves, our activities. But we are also split in mini groups in order to handle the different channels that you will see later. To do this, we share some tools and resources, and most of them are free of charge or very low cost in order to manage an attractive social media presence. We have a WhatsApp group, very lively, sharing info and questions and conversation every day. We share all the info, all the materials, in particular documents, infographics, etc., in our Teams group. We have also an account in SurveyMonkey. It is a tool to make satisfaction questionnaires, surveys, etc. It is very helpful in order to get feedback from the clients. and some graphic resources tools, as I said before, in order to offer an attractive image into the social media. And very recently, we have a new tool, a ring to govern them all, that is Metricool. Metricool helps us to have a wide view about what is happening in every social media at the same time and make you easier to program when to publish things or not. Well, let's talk a bit about the new plan, the new National Communication Plans 2022-24. First of all, it is already a draft. There are a draft. Sorry, there is a lot of things to talk already with our friends of EURES in order to fix the final content of the plan. And this plan has been developed, this draft, following the lines marked for the new EURES communication strategy. Okay. Following this pace, the pace of the EURES communication strategy, we have defined our communication goals, trying to be smart oriented. We define the target audiences and the key messages to these target audiences and a calendar. Well, here you are our communication goals in the new plan. As always, we are very focused in job seekers because they are the most of our clients, but we try to focus also in a kind of brand new clients like remote workers, digital nomads, returnees to Spain, etc. We have a new challenge that is to focus in Spanish employers. Traditionally, you know, Spain has been a sending country in EURES terms, but this is changing very fast. And now we have employers looking for workers, looking for talent everywhere. And we need to contact them and show up and offer our services to them. We want also to be more aware of all this activity to our own Spanish EURES network. We want to use the communication tools and activities to reinforce or to develop new relationships and synergies with other stakeholders at the local, regional, cross borders and national level. And also we think communication could be very useful in order to cooperate with other countries, spreading vacancies or events organized by them or by us or all together. Well, here you are again, our target audiences. And for these target audiences, we have key messages. I won't stop in every key message for every kind of target audiences, but it is important to think that all the messages are based in our EURES vision and mission that we need always to keep in mind. The vision as Europe as a workspace where you can find your dream work anywhere in Europe, or you can find the talent you need everywhere in Europe. And the mission of EURES is offering quality services to job seekers and employers in this European workspace. And to do this, to connect these key messages with the target audiences, we use channels, and the most of them are social media channels. But I think we need to stop a bit and talk about social media because things are changing a lot since 2011, 2012 to now. Cambridge Academica has happened. The hate wars in Twitter happens. Now Twitter is very in fashion with all this mess with Mr. Elon Musk. So time of innocence has ended. And you see, for instance, in Spain, since 2017, the number of people using social media accounts has stagnated in the 85%. That is a high number, of course, but stagnated. Another thing that we have discovered is that you can trust in their metrics, in the metrics offered by their own social media, because they design their metrics in order of their own business, because they are business at the end, and it's better not to forget. Other thing that is changing is we have new game changers for the first time, very strong game changers in social media. We had Twitch, that is a kind of brand new YouTube, or TikTok, very strong between youngsters. And at the same time, we have some new channels with some classic flavor. For instance, podcast. That podcast at the end is a kind of radio on demand, and newsletters. Every organization is using newsletters, sending by mail and publishing their websites as a tool of communication more and more. From our point of view, social media are the street or the corridor of a mall, if you prefer. And my goal, your goal, must be to go there and take visitors to your own house, your website, your vacancies, your information spaces. Well, and now let's talk a bit about our social media channels. EURES Spain is active in all these social media, and we also have a blog. That sounds a bit old-fashioned, but we will explain later why we have a blog. Well, Facebook is the oldest one and the mainstream social network. We have there about 26,000 followers, and we publish posts 2-3 days a week, 3 times a week, with every kind of subjects: recruitment, job fairs, personal user stories, monographies, a weekly bulletin with vacancies, etc. But the most successful posts are success stories and the vacancies. And of course, if you have video skin, so always you can record, make short recordings and upload it, because this improves a lot your visibility into Facebook. Well, Twitter is the second classic social media. We have here around 18,000 followers. We are more or less at the same time as in Facebook in 2014. But here our position is different. Here we use Twitter as a multiplier in order to spread the information about our activities between our natural stakeholders. The public employment services, the universities, the youth organization, other European networks, private operators, etc. And we publish at least one, but some days 5 post tweets per day. Not always are original. We share information of other sources too. LinkedIn. We got into LinkedIn a bit later in 2017, and our idea is being more and more present, because it's, from our point of view, the key network for our kind of clients. Now we have almost 7,000 followers. We try to publish at least one message every day, one post every day in our page, and it is oriented to professional public, qualified job seekers and employers. And it's a very good tool in order to promote vacancies and recruitment events. Here you are, our colleague Eva Octavio, informing about recruitment in Zaragoza, looking for veterinary surgeons to work in Sweden. And you can see the data of the new in LinkedIn. It's a very good tool in order to spread the word about events like this. Instagram. Well, this is one of the last social media platforms. We made a try in 2018, but we abandoned. But since 2020, we started again with 2 young colleagues that they are in charge of the network, because Instagram has been created directly from scratch to smartphones, to be used from the smartphone. Video and infographics are the king or queen of the network. And fresh information, fresh images is very, very important. We are about 3,800 followers now. And TikTok, well, we are just starting in TikTok. And why we get into TikTok? Because TikTok is a very fast growing network, but it's focus mainly in young people. But our idea is precisely to go to these young people and to these job seekers, and in particular the needs, the people without education or without work experience, in order to offer the opportunities EURES can offer them directly. And as I told you before, we have a blog. Blog is not exactly a social media, a social network. And why we decided to have a blog in 2018, I think. Because in one moment we thought that it was important to have a place with more add value content. There are some topics in EURES that is always important to have good information to share with our clients, employers, or job seekers. The blog leaves you to write down longer than the typical post on the social media. After that, we discovered that it's also a very nice space for cooperation, because you can invite other parties to write in your blog. So here you are, the last publications in our blog. And for instance, this one was written by the Spanish Embassy in Ireland. Here we have an interview to Javier Suquia, who was the Spanish representative of the representation in Spain of ILA, European Labour Authority. Or here you have two Spanish engineers working for Novo Nordisk, telling us their stories. At the same time, we have had a recruitment for Novo Nordisk in the mainland Spain. Here you are some numbers. Individual visitors, it was in 2021 about more than 8,000. That sounds quite nice. And here you are, the post more visited by the visitors. And here, I'm going to the end. You can see the evolution of our social media. That is always growing. That is very nice. But we have the feeling that the classic social network like Facebook or Twitter, the growth is not so fast as in years before. Is, as I said before, stagnating little by little. But the new social media we are involved, like LinkedIn or Instagram, are growing quite fast. We don't have almost data from TikTok. Well, all in all, and finishing. Things that you need to take in account when you are thinking in social media and communication activities. First, of course, we are not social media professionals. We are not community managers or things like that. But we are EURES professionals, and nobody knows our work and the interests of our clients better than us. And this is important to value and to consider. Second, please no stress or don't panic. Do what you can with the tools you have. Something is always better than nothing. And other question that sometimes people are quite afraid is the relationship with the public in sometimes toxic environment. In our experience, if you offer serious information, professional style, and kindness, you won't have problems. Maybe you can find a troll one day, but it's better not to mention. The most of people are kind and grateful for the information you give them using these tools, this media. But maybe you don't like social media. You don't like Twitter wars, or you don't like the people gossiping your life in Facebook. It's okay. But as a service is oriented to public, we need to be visible where our clients are. And our clients spend a lot of their time in their own social media, checking, reading, watching videos, etc. If you want fish, you need to go where the fish are, and with the nicest net as possible in order to take them to your place, to your vacancies, to your information points, to your websites. It is important to decide your priorities and set minimum standards of activities. To do that, a communication plan helps a lot. And we are very grateful to the work done for EURES, for the EURES communication strategy, because it helped us a lot to focus in priorities and in a calendar that we could manage. This thing is very important. Every channel you open will be bi-directional. It's important to think on it, because social media channel is not only you sending message to the public will send message to you, and you need to answer them in a proper way. We learned that the hard way, because, for instance, our presence in YouTube is very limited. We mainly use YouTube as a repository of videos. And suddenly we discovered that there were people trying to contact us from the comments of the videos. So we need to take care with it also. Be creative if you can. But if you can't, copy. There are a lot of information. There is social channels of the EURES Commission, EURES ILA. You have a lot of EURES accounts of different EURES advisors or EURES organizations. So have a look and copy. You have also a lot of colleagues across Europe. So if you need advice or you need support, there are a lot of social media training from the Commission, training, webinars, etc., like this. And you have colleagues across Europe to ask. Because at the end, I think it's the same in every kind of work, but in particular in this kind of work, it's always better to work in team. 9 couple of eyes see more than just one. You will find more ideas and more fun. And that was all for my side. I'm at your disposition now or by email. Here are my email and my name, so I'm very easy to find. I hope you are enjoying the training and see you anywhere in Europe. Have a nice day.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Bernadette Greco, and I am EURES training expert based in Puglia, Italy, who was asked to share with you this short presentation about the new EURES communication strategy from the single member states perspective. In this case, how Italy dealt with it. You can see just the main points here of the agenda, and about what I was asked by the training provider. Just to share with you how Italy developed and is implementing or implements the EURES communication strategy within the multi-annual national communication plan, focusing on target audience, social media strategy, together with tips, thoughts, if any. So let's start from the first one. As everybody else, we received all this material about the new EURES communication strategy running from 2001 to 2004, and I found this summary visual identity very useful. So we started from this. Keep in mind EURES vision, Europe as your workplace, together with the 3 EURES values: quality and safety at work, fair and effective mobility, and as Italian I would add circular mobility, and mobility is an opportunity. From these core values, 2 broad communication objectives stem. They are just highlighted with the yellow arrows, and the first one being improve and increase awareness and brand perception of EURES. The second one focusing on collaboration, so encourage and facilitate all form of active collaboration within the network and outside the network. So from these 2 communication objectives, 3 specific communication objectives were identified, being the ones in the light blue rectangles, and we worked on these to build our communication strategy. So summarizing, we have two main pillars represented by the two general objectives, divided into three specific communication objectives, and of course communication goes along with activities which are carried out. So together with these communication objectives, there are the operational EU policy objectives 5 and the 10 specific operational EU objectives. In addition to this, I would add never to forget the Article 6 listing the objectives of the EURES network in the EU regulation about EURES, about ourselves, together with the EU communication priorities, which are announced every year by the President of the European Commission, and spot, if any, those which have a particular stake in our field of activity. In this sense, of course, those falling under in the boundary of DG Ample. And I'm just thinking, for example, about the pillar of social rights, digital skills, and so on. Of course, all these must be set in the national context. Otherwise, communication objectives will be difficult to attain, to achieve. Then, so we started from that, and we opted for the multi-annual national communication plan, which was really advised, not required. And at the beginning it could appear as an overburden, but I firmly believe that it's not, because it helps the member state to better build and tailor the specific European communication strategy to its national context. Thinking about the specific national context, the specific national communication objectives, and then hence identifying the target audience, build the key messages together with tools and channels within a given frame, together with the most appropriate tools to monitor and evaluate. And how we did we wrote the multi-annual national communication plan. This is just a circular process, starting from step number 1 to number 5, and just to share with you the way we worked. Since we had these 3 specific communication objectives, and we have a specific communication working group, we decided to attribute a specific one of the 3 specific communication objectives to 3 subgroups, which were formed from the national communication group. And so each of us worked in a subgroup. Of course, there were singular session and plenary sessions. Then we built specific SMART objectives for each of these specific communication objectives, always keep in mind that the more they are shared and known by the whole network, the more achievable they become. Then focused on the target audience, which is of fundamental core importance in order to reach the same objectives. And the target audience was identified, as suggested, between the internal and external, tailoring it to the specific Italian context. Once the target audience was identified, it was easy to write the key messages and the unique selling points, and how to carry out these activities with the existing tools and channels available at European level, at national level, within a given time frame, together with monitor tools, which are fundamental to understand if our communication is effective, if we have to reroute our activities, and assess and then learn and improve what can be improved. This is the process under another perspective. So in the sense that we started from the national context, from analyzing the national dimension, and this is really a fundamental step, I would say, because it allows to the single member state to think about the specific context, in particular the EURES organizational structure, which, as we know, differs from one state to another, and then to make in-depth analysis about the specific labor market and highlight forecasts and economic forecasts, employment forecasts, and emerging trends. This gave us the possibility to, after this analysis, to identify a shortage profiles, which are more or less the same in all European countries, and where a mismatch was more evident, and choose the core focus of our action. In particular, shortage profiles, as we know, fall in the ICT sector, and in addition to the ICT profiles, there were new profiles related to the so-called Internet of Things, and where mismatch is more evident is for digital skills and in the vocational educational sector as well. Then core focus. Why Italy is choosing that specific target audience? The specific target audience is quite broad. We didn't choose just one category, but all job seekers, for example, but focusing on the need, who sadly still represent a very high percentage in Italy, and a particular and some groups of job seekers as well. I will tell you about after. Then, following step, as said before, within the three specific communication objectives, we identified the SMART objectives. But before getting to the SMART objectives, we identified some sub-objectives, sub-objectives, activities, and from those we identified and built the SMART objectives in order to drive our communication and choose the most appropriate indicators, output, result, outcome indicators, together with the target audience divided into internal and external, the key messages, and the tools to be used. Since I was asked to specifically highlight these 2 points, target audience, I will tell you about our target audience. Target audiences, of course, is of core importance because they are the core beneficiaries of the communication strategies, the recipient of the communication strategy, and we divide them as suggested into internal and external, and internal adding new members and trying to identify possible actions as stemming from the same specific communication objectives. I'm just thinking, for example, of all the bilateral agreements and activities which are being carried out with single member state, and thinking about the training of new EURES assistants, which probably is a specific feature of the Italian context. External audience, as said, we suggest that we follow the suggestion of identifying external audience into these 4 categories: job seekers, employers, stakeholders, and multipliers. And job seekers made us think that we had to push to highlight activities to be geared towards the need, which is compliant with the EU communication priority as well, since this is the year of the European youth. And among the job seekers, we identified three types of job seekers, which might be recipient of our communication action, being seasonal workers, return workers, digital nomads. Employers with a special focus on small medium enterprise, which represent the backbone of Italian economy, and together with their professional associations, always trying to find possible synergies and new forms of collaboration, thanks to the EURES TMS we need to implement as EURES Italy as well. Then stakeholders belonging to the Ministry of Education, to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and within the Ministry of Education, I would say that in addition to the usual universities and placement offices, there is a special focus on ITS, which are becoming more and more prominent in Italy, and within the Foreign Affairs, embassies and consular offices. And then all the multipliers, such as trade unions, labor law experts, and other specific features of the Italian panorama, and all the European network, and Erasmus student network, for example, as well. Second point is channels, tools, and activities. And I just copied and pasted a specific page just to make an example of our national communication plan. So we identified first the geographical dimension, thinking about all the channels and tools available at European level, and then we thought to list down the ones available at the national level, the existing ones. And so it was easier to identify the possible actions, the possible activities to be carried out related to the channels and tools available, and then to attribute each of these activity to a specific communication objective rather than another one, to one of the three. This is just to share with you the way we built and we worked on this paper, on this document. A second point of our webinar should be focusing, as said before, on the social media strategy. So whether we like it or not, we have to cope with the social media, and we cannot really avoid. Why? Because social media is a very powerful tool to grasp the sentiment, the perception, and to drive forward the EURES brand. Because social media allows EURES to have better control of its online image, because user-generated content centered around the real life let the human aspect emerge. We have always stressed the fact that the EURES network is a human network, and this is possible through these stories. So what we did about our social media strategy, we focused on three actions, which are the yellow one, strengthening and improve and create. So strengthening and improve the existing tools and the existing strategy, together with the creation of something new. So strengthening the social media accounts, namely Facebook and Twitter account, and if possible liaise with the regional accounts. This is another specific feature of the Italian panorama, and we should exploit it rather than see it as a negative aspect, because we have so many, as you know, we have so many Facebook, Twitter accounts, one for each region. So we should turn this peculiarity into a tool at our disposal to better communicate and improve the communication through this social media, and create new accounts, namely deriving from the fact that we identified within the target audience the need. So we should probably use some channels which are more used by youth, such as Instagram and LinkedIn. if you want to reach more newly graduates, those coming from just after diploma. So this is just in summary our social media strategy. Then the other dimension concerning monitoring evaluation, which should be never undervalued, and is our communication really effective, that we should wonder about all the times. As we know, we have since 2018 the PM's tool, and probably we should profit from it and better make a wiser use, and without building new without introducing new tools at the moment. And in particular, we know that the PMS tool is for the whole network, and uses, and it collects data and on both core indicators and network indicators, and these indicators are further arranged under the following 5 performance dimensions, being information guidance, employment performance, customer satisfaction, communication, cooperation and outreach, and horizontal support. Of course, we are particularly engaged in this performance dimension, communication, cooperation, and outreach. Nevertheless, these two are of core importance because they are at the core of EURES activity as well. And we just refer to what's written in Annex 9 of the communication strategy, and identifying the key performance indicators and choosing the most appropriate according to the different actions, choosing among output, result, and outcome indicators. Then finally, after the monitoring and evaluation, let's say that the communication paper has been made, and just tips, thoughts, and coming from this activity. These are summarized with these 3 avatars, just throwing some tips and questions I would like to share with all of you. First of all, I just wonder if there is enough awareness about the fundamental, the core importance of the communication activity in a public organization. At least this happens in Italy, so I just wonder if it's the same in all the European countries. Secondly, I just wonder if we are perfectly aware of all the available tools and channels, and probably we should take the most advantage of the available resources. Third, which is quite personal, but I think that can apply to all the EURES advisor. The EURES advisor is almost dead because he has to cope with so many tasks, and there are so many activities to be carried out during our daily working time. So I just wonder if we are able to cope as well with all the new and relevant skills needed to communicate in a professional manner. And that's all on my side. And I hope I didn't annoy you, and just thank you for your attention, and hope we are going to discuss and share our ideas.
Hello, I am Marjorie and I am EURES advisor in France. I am located in Bordeaux, in southwest of France. I'm going to tell you about how France is promoting EURES externally. How is France implementing the communication strategy? First of all, on the Pôle emploi website, we have an international page and a section dedicated to EURES. You can link to the EURES website in one click. We also have pôleemploi.org, where employers can register to EURES. Pôle emploi has an international Facebook page where we provide information about job days, European online job days, and US offers. And we post every day. We have over 25,000 followers. We are currently setting up an online presentation about the EURES website, about its features and how to use it. We will present it online to the French job seekers regularly, about once every month. Also, French EURES advisors present living and working from many countries, European countries, and of course we promote a lot EURES and EURES website. Pôle emploi has an internal social network called Sphere, especially for our job seekers. We organize events there on various topics, and very often with external speakers. For example, it can be job seekers who have found ex-job seekers who have found a job in a European country with the help of a EURES advisor. They can testify about their experience to find a job and about their new life in their new country. Once a week, to offer job opportunities in Europe, a chat with young people will be set up on Sphere Network to promote US offers. And locally, here in Bordeaux, we produce a monthly newspaper to a graduate audience. Each time, we promote a US country with information about the labor market, with quality of life, job offers in the country, and mentioning of course EURES website. Concerning the incoming, last year we made the video to highlight seasonal jobs in France during the winter season and the summer season. We have described the needs of the company according to the seasons from north to south of France. Besides us, we are delighted to announce that the first video living and working in France has been produced and will be broadcasted from July. Lots of topics will be evoked and it will be discussed, among other things, about the French labor market, Europass, European program, TMS. Pôle emploi has also developed partnership with the media like Le Petit Journal or Les Français de l'étranger. With them, a web conference on the theme of EURES took place last March. An article was published in May in Le Petit Journal about EURES, and in June an article about the partnership between France and Germany will be published. Also, EURES advisors from different parts of France participated to a working group to improve the presentation and the organization of the EURES services offer in France. For example, we have set up a common mailbox, which is handled every day by a different EURES advisor. And the benefit to that new organization is to have a single mailbox with a continuous vigilance and a fast response times to European job seekers. The working group on EURES is still in progress. French EURES advisors take part on job fairs on site in Paris last January for the Salon du Travail, where EURES advisors from Italy joined us. Also, French EURES advisors and 5 EURES countries were in Paris last April for the job fair S'expatrier mode d'emploi. The EURES advisors from these countries could give information to the French job seekers about their own countries. However, we can always improve. For example, Pôle emploi website is only in French, and we would like to be able to add a few pages in English. We must also take care to communicate with the applicants that we are a EURES advisor. Besides us, we do not have a EURES account on social network because Pôle emploi digital communication strategy is centralized and does not allow us to have a dedicated EURES account.
Thank you for your attention.